Welcome to Audrey's World. Audrey's World, it's an interview-based podcast where I talk to my friends and loved ones. You get to hear about how we met, some of our fun moments, what they're into now, and honestly, there's some giggles along the way. I think the priority here is just entertainment, getting to know some people, and laughing our little asses off during the time that we're together. So, what more could you want? But I love to ask everyone during the interview what their dream world is like, because that's how you get to know someone, honestly, to their core. Learning what someone's ideal state says so much about them, but it's so interesting too, because I think some people get really creative with it, some get a little bit more serious, but even through the way that they answer the question, you get to learn a lot about their personality that you might not have even caught during the interview. So I think it's a really cool way to get to know people, and let's be honest, dreaming up our ideal world is a great escape right now, because I don't think this is anyone's ideal state. So just learning about what could be fun and interesting, or what is a different perspective that we need. I mean, it's lovely just to disconnect and, dream that up for a bit. And then I asked about a small win, because I think that we need to just celebrate these little things along the way more than what we do, because they're so impactful. They can start a domino effect with other things in our lives, and maybe it doesn't, but it's just doing something out of your day-to-day that is making you be a little bit more intentional about something or try something new. And honestly, why aren't we celebrating the shit out of that? So pat yourself on the back for whatever small win you may have done recently, and I just can't encourage that enough. But without further ado, I cannot wait for this episode today. It was so fun. A quick backstory. In 2014, I signed up for this study abroad course where I knew no one going into it. I met a lot of great people along the way. This was such a cool program. We really grew in it. You'll hear us talk about it a lot more during the episode, but it got us outside of our day-to-day lives, really got us outside of our comfort zone. We grew, we gained confidence, but we really got to connect with people on the trip. I'll quit giving you the backstory, and let's jump right into the episode. Our group chat is called Clay Aiken. We don't know why, but Clay Aiken, this one's for you. It is my good friends, Elizabeth Santo and Katherine Telford.
Holy shit.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh my god, it's so good to see you.
You too.
Hey. Oh my god.
Hello.
Can we call you Andre?
Yes.
Catherine, also known as Kath, Kath.
Kathy, as she'll be referred to in
Yes,
this
I have
podcast.
many names.
I'm Elizabeth, but you'll probably hear me as Beth. You two are the only people that call me Beth.
Yeah.
And the only people that are allowed to call me Beth.
Thank God.
Yeah, I was gonna say y'all are the only people who call me Kath.
And I think we did that. I think we wanted to spice up your guys' nicknames, or I think that was a me thing, that I didn't want to just call you Kath and Liz. I think it was let's do Beth and Kathy. But then in Greece, no one could say my name. Audrey is pretty hard to anyone outside of the United States. The AU at the beginning really throws everyone off. So the locals would call me Andre, O-N. And then that kind of stuck. So I'm Audrey in this episode.
I was having to train myself, because I was like, well, maybe I need to call her Audrey on the podcast. I'm like, Audrey. Her name is Audrey. Her name is actually Audrey. You can do it. You can do it.
No, oh my God. I love when my friends come in and they just call me my nickname. In college, my friends called me Podge, short for Odge Podge. But the amount of people in college or afterwards were like, were you really fat or something? Why do they call you Podge? And I'm like, no, it's just a I don't
Were
know.
really
I'm
fat?
sorry I didn't get the cutesy Odge version of it, and I got Podge. Yeah.
Yeah, and can we talk about how we came up with the group name Clay Aiken? Because I don't know. I was
I
trying
don't
to,
know
I
either.
was
Yeah.
telling
I don't.
Chris, and he was like, why is it Clay Aiken? And I was like, I don't know.
All I remember is it had something to do. Remember we went on that like underground or that tour in Seattle, and the tour guide said something about Clay Aiken, and we were like, "What the fuck?" And so that's how. But I don't remember what he said, but that's how we were like, "Ha, Clay Aiken."
Okay, I definitely thought it was a Seattle thing and not a Greece thing.
Like we
But
were down like in a basement, and which like that makes it sound creepy. And he said something like, "Oh yeah, like Clay Aiken," and we were like, "Clay Aiken?" Like that was not.
Was he like saying
like it's not like Clay Aiken was. No offense to Clay Aiken, but he was like not relevant at the time.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, maybe he was like
2002.
Clay Aiken visited here or something and we were like, no one cares. I don't know.
Or did
Oh
he
my
look
God,
like Clay
that's
Aiken? No, he definitely said something about Clay Aiken.
When I did text you guys a few weeks ago, I was trying to search my contacts by your real names and I was like, this isn't coming up. Did they get deleted? Like what happened? And then
Did they
I
block me?
I searched Clay Aiken and then I was like, oh, that's because I have them in my phone as Kitty Cat and Andre.
Oh, Kitty Cat, that's right.
Yeah. So
I just remembered too, whatever it was, we were dying and we just kept referring to Clay Aiken all trip. And then, yeah, that's how the group chat name came to be. But I was going through Facebook yesterday to look at my old albums to like remember some of the things or jog my memory from the time. The first day we were in Athens, Santorini, then Crete. But didn't we rotate roomies? Like, no,
Like
we did it more
we,
than 3 times,
yeah,
right?
we
Or was it
did.
only 2 times?
because we were roommates in things, but we were never. Except I think, Andre, I think
Crete.
I was roommates with you again at some point, but the three of us were never together room-wise. Like,
Oh, really? I thought we were one at the beginning and then at the end regroup, but Kath, maybe that was it. Maybe it was you
it
and I
was
were
just
together and then Beth changed our room.
yeah, I don't think it was the three of us. I think it was just in Athens when we were all together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So how did you guys find out about Global Lead where we studied abroad together? That group? Did you want to study abroad forever? Let's get into the origin story of us even getting on the trip. And then, oh my God, guys, I want to talk about the group dynamics, like everything. I still think about people from our group trip all the time who I never interacted with, but they're characters in my head for
Yeah.
sure. So,
I think I wanted to study abroad and I specifically wanted to go to Greece, but none of the programs from my school, I went to college in San Diego. This is Beth for listeners, by the way. And none of the programs went to Greece. One, and then I also wanted to find a program that would transfer credits for just like general education. And for some reason, this was the program that I found that would do that. And I didn't realize it at the time. It was based in Athens, Georgia. So I was like the only person from the west of the country on that trip. But it was great. I mean, no regrets,
yeah.
obviously. So
You really switched up the culture shock for everyone with your bringing your West Coast vibes to the core group.
I learned a lot about the South, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
And then we
welcome.
had our native Kath in there for us.
Yes, it's along those same lines. So this is Kath speaking. I am from Nashville, Tennessee, and I went to school at the University of Tennessee. And two girls, I think in the pledge class above me in my sorority they did this program a year and maybe the year before that. So yes, I always knew I wanted to study abroad. And Greece was top of my list. And I went back and forth if I was going to do a program like with with Tennessee. If there are any Texas people listening, Tennessee's the real UT. But I was like, no, I want to go with a different group, meet different people from different schools. And Global Lead, they would travel around to Southern or mainly SCC schools to, study abroad fairs to like promote themselves. And so I met with them and was like, yes, let's do it. Like, I want to go. So, and I was the only one from Tennessee. But yes, there were a huge group from Alabama, Georgia, LSU, I think a few from Ole Miss. And then, yeah, how many do you think, were there like 60 people on our trip? That
Yeah,
I'd
that
say like
seems
in
right.
between 50, 60, and what, maybe 40 were from the South, and then maybe 10 to 15, right? Beth, California, Andre, Ohio. There were a few Chicago.
Yeah.
I think
There
a
was
few
one
Chicago girls.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Virginia.
Penn or like a Pennsylvania school. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, she was so sweet.
So
Uh,
I agree. This was like Southern culture shock for me. Like going in, I mean, I had friends who were in sororities and stuff, but learning about the Southern like sorority was huge. Or I just learned so much on the trip. I feel like I was trying to just always navigate that as an outsider. And then no one had heard of my college. I was the only one from my college there, which was fine. And I was just coming out of my freshman year. Like, ew, I was so little. I was such a baby compared to everyone. And it was, I don't know, for me, I just feel like I learned so much for like so many different reasons. It was my first time being able to like legally drink, somewhere else. So trying to figure that out and everything. I loved that I went to Greece. One girl who I played volleyball with in high school was on this program. I think I saw her Facebook album and I was like, that looks cool. Can I get some credits for it? Like, I want to do a quick summer thing, like, not leave a whole semester out of school.
right.
And then it just kind of worked. Like there was really no thought process for me outside of that.
Same.
So,
I was like, Greece and the credits transfer, I'm gonna go. And I
yeah.
think what I
Yes.
loved too was how it wasn't a lot. I feel like most people go to a country and then their classes are attached to a university. And so were ours, but it was very integrative. Like they did the teaching, we did things in real life and did service in real life, and we're learning in the country itself rather than going to a classroom. And then we still got those credits, so it was much more applicable than just going to class every day and
Right.
learning theory, and then getting credit for that. So I think that's what I liked about it too, and also the fact that we were able to go to so many places, but then at the same time actually being and living in Greece, and we actually got to see like how they lived, and um that's something I feel like I like to do when I travel, is like actually see how people live versus just seeing things. And so I
Mm-hmm.
felt like, as like 20-year-old me, or I don't even know how old I was, but like that was really enriching.
Yeah. I feel like
And
we were really good about doing a lot of local things. Yeah, it wasn't just like a fluff piece on Greece or something. We were really
yeah.
integrated.
Yeah.
And then I can speak on this because I studied abroad that summer, and then the next summer I was fortunate enough to study abroad again. I did another like summer term or program in Barcelona, and again that was also amazing. But I went with a different program, and I went with two of my friends from Tennessee, and it was great in different ways. But what I loved about Global Lead is that we had freedom. I mean, we were able to go during our free time and you could do what you want, but also it was set up to where you could make friends. And you did a lot of stuff with the program. So you could go, I mean, the three of us, you could go by yourself, not knowing anyone, and you leave with friendships. But that's an aspect that I really love, is that they didn't baby us and hold our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did encourage us to really get to know each other, even and obviously within larger groups there's dynamics, and you
Mm-hmm.
always tend to like go with and bond with different people, and that's just natural. But I felt like for the most part everyone was really open to like getting to know everyone else, and um for the most part just like all really nice and pleasant. And I think I mean, I still follow a good amount of people on social media. It's just nice to be able to see like how everyone's doing and um
Follow.
yeah, I feel like we really did bond,
Hmm.
especially us, obviously. Even though we maybe don't talk as much anymore, like I feel like when we do get together later this year, it'll be really normal and
It's like catching up with friends.
yeah.
Yeah, like you pick up right where you
Yeah,
left off.
right.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But
Should the listeners, should we take a poll of where we should go on our trip in November?
I
Yeah.
kind of love that. Yeah.
Where should we
Oh my God.
go? It's like a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
It'll be November.
Some of our ideas were New Orleans was one. Then we talked about somewhere more out west, right? Ish.
Yeah, I think we were saying if we want more nature versus
Yeah.
city, I think someone said Montana, which would be really cool. We also
Hmm.
said
Mhm.
the Northeast, like the Adirondacks, or
Hmm.
I also heard that never been either like North or South Carolina is really beautiful in the fall.
Be down, yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
we all live in the on the east side of the country. So, right?
But yeah, close to an
Yeah.
airport, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So let us know where we should go. We went to Seattle, and what was that? Like 2015? No,
yeah.
2016 for New Year's Eve? And that's the last time we saw each other, guys. So it's been like
10
10 years.
years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And we'll chat maybe once a year anymore, like in our group
Hmm.
chat. But I love it. We just picked up and we're like, oh my God, what's going on? Come on the
Yeah,
podcast
we'll
episode and
send
let's
like
go on a trip. Like, no problem at all.
we'll send like a picture. Speaking of pictures, I also was going down a rabbit hole, and like the amount of filter, like Instagram, like the Paris filter or mocha or like whatever. It was like you take a picture and it slide it 100%, and it's like,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
but you know
saturated.
what? That was the time.
Yeah.
That was like Snapchat too. I was going back to, I feel like a 2016 summer is the vibes that I've been having so much nostalgia on. But it was those freaking filters. Paris filter, Nashville filter, that, or like I feel like there were even times where I would post like a Snapchat that I saved where it would have my little like line
It would
caption.
have the thing.
Yeah.
I have to
Oh,
say,
Yeah.
I learned it was like when going back to the culture shock of it, not even Greece, but like the South, I learned that's when I learned about. I remember being like, what are these shoes that everyone has? And they were the
yes.
Chacos.
Yeah.
It's like I've never heard of these, but everyone has them. I was like, this is interesting, and everyone was wearing oversized t-shirts with specifically Nike shorts. And I was like,
Nike
okay,
shorts. Hmm.
yeah, the ones with the stripes at the bottom. And I was like, this is a vibe. Um,
It
I-
was such the uniform. Yeah, I had more fitted t-shirts or like tank tops to go with that, but I felt like such an outsider because mine wasn't obscenely oversized.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was in college, I remember my mom, or people our parents' age, they would just be like, wait, like you're not dressing up to go to class. And not even that, but you're wearing shorts and shirts that are so long that it looks like you're not wearing shorts. And the Chacos, like I wore Chacos, but looking back, Chacos now give me such an ick. But that was not a good time. And the monogram necklace,
Oh,
I was all about that.
monogram.
Oh my God, there was so much monogram shit. And that's when monograms were sort of starting to come into the West Coast, but I was like, holy shit, all of these girls have a lot of monogram shit. I knew you had a lot of monogram stuff, Kat. Yeah.
Yes, I can still picture that necklace. I got it as a high school graduation present, and you would think that I got like a diamond necklace worth $1 million. Yeah, yeah.
What
I
else
probably
were
still
we
have
wearing?
all the stuff.
I just
Yeah.
remember, I think I brought, because when I looked at the pictures online, it was during a lot of activities, and it was a lot of people from the South, so I saw a lot of people in workout like casual wear, but then that's the first time that I was ever in Europe, and I didn't know that like the European culture they dress up more than Americans do every day. So I remember I have a specific memory of going to stores in Greece and being like, I need nicer shirts, like I need some dresses. I only really brought casual stuff. So that was interesting. Yeah,
Do
I
y'all
think they
remember that boat? Oh,
what
Yeah,
sorry,
the
I'm switching gears.
catamaran.
no, that's
The
okay.
boat day, that was so fun.
That was
That was
so
fun.
fun. I think about that not super often, but I do think about it, and everyone was just so hammered,
Yeah,
and we were playing country music. I'm sure the Greek
Ew.
captains were just like these fucking Americans. Like
literally.
But
it
also,
was
do you?
really fun.
I don't really know if he was hot, but like, do you remember how hot our captain was?
Oh yeah.
He was like your typical
I
like
think he was
Greek.
cute. Yeah, like everyone was trying to flirt with him.
Yes, everyone was like, ooh. He was like Kostas from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Like that's what
Honestly,
I thought
all
of
the
like
men,
in my head.
all the men in
Mm.
Greece, and I remember being in Santorini with you guys, and I just remember it was like the sun had set, the moon was really bright, and I was like, damn, we're in like the most romantic place in the world, and I'm with a bunch of girls.
A bunch of girls. Like, love you
I,
guys.
you guys, I actually went back to Ia on my honeymoon in September, and it was so fucking crowded. Like we went at the right time when it was obviously popular, but I feel like travel hadn't blown up yet like it is now. And I remember when we were there, it was like appropriately crowded. We went in
Right.
September after the season had ended, and we didn't stay in Ia, we stayed kind of outside of it, which was good, but I felt we were like gridlocked walking in the streets, and I was like, I feel like I'm at a music festival, like this is not enjoyable. So I would not recommend going back there at this time. And it's
Sure.
so expensive, like more expensive than New
Yeah.
York
Damn.
in that specific town.
Yeah, I feel like we hit there at a good time because Greece was having their huge economic downfall, which
That's
so sad for them.
right.
I remember thinking everything was like pretty cheap and affordable. So I
Mhm.
think we hit a really good time.
Yeah,
Yeah, before travel Instagrams and stuff picked it up. Thank God. We're
thank God.
trendsetters.
We are.
I was thinking back
Mm.
to the nights that we would go out, and I remember making out with like five guys in Greece, and then I think we got some pictures of them, and I think they were like not the haughty Greek men. Like, ew, Audrey!
And they were probably like 45.
Probably, and I'm like 19.
Honestly, so fun though. Like, and we would go out, we would stay up so late and then just like be fine the next day. Wake up at 7 a.m. and just like go on a hike, and we'd be like, oh yeah, like we're out till 2
Y'all,
a.m. No problem.
I miss that. Oh, remember how like breaking plates was a huge thing? Like we went, was it everyone? We went to dinner. I don't know where, like
I think we
Athens,
were
Santorini, or Crete.
in Santorini. But yeah, the first half was like a play, or the whole thing was sort of a performance, and they were like pretending that their
Yeah.
couple got married, and so then we participated in a wedding reception ceremony and like danced in a circle and
Mm-hmm.
broke plates. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
And then did all of us jump off the bridge, the Corinth Canal?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, the bungee jumping.
Yeah. I love that we had that a part of our program and holding snakes, but we never did cliff jumping. And we're like, thanks for telling
Why?
us.
Oh,
Why were we
I
holding
must.
snakes?
I think it was for like
It
fear things. I think those were things to get outside of your comfort zone, those three things.
your comfort zone. But that was in Crete because I remember it was like animal sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
But this, y'all, I still remember what I was wearing. Monogram necklace, of course, and this purple shirt. And I had like the big python or whatever it was. I mean, that thing was heavy. And you want to know what my Instagram caption was?
It's Brittany,
Okay,
bitch.
anyway, you know how Brittany,
It's
I
pretty
don't think
bitch.
it wasn't, it's Brittany, bitch, but it was, I'm basically Brittany.
Wait, is it still on your grid? Or did you archive it?
No, I think I archived it because I was like, this has got to go.
Tonic to save.
Um, We
Mm.
also went out on, I think it was the World Cup, or was it 4th of July? Which one was it?
Oh,
World
I
Cup.
think it was
We,
World
we,
Cup. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, because we were like USA, and now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, damn, that's embarrassing
Yeah. Yeah.
that we
Yeah,
did that.
very.
But
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of those things that I took away because remember one of our lessons was talking about like ugly Americans
yeah,
and what not to do basically. And so whenever going abroad, but even as a tourist, like in your own country, going to another city, just don't be an ugly American.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I sometimes do travel for work, and when I first joined my current job, they did a company-wide thing in Portugal, and I just have this like vivid memory of being at lunch or something, and our company has people from all over the United States, and this woman is from like maybe North Dakota or something. And I remember the guy didn't speak very English very well because we're in Portugal, and I was like trying to just accommodate, obviously be like, this is what I want, and like pointing, and she was just like saying things and almost getting annoyed that he didn't understand her. And I was just like, this is like exactly what that was. And I feel like I took that away from that trip too, of like you're in somebody else's home and country.
Right.
I think a lot of Americans go places and expect
And
everyone
expect.
to accommodate to them, and that's just probably why a lot of countries don't like us. So,
This past summer, I was in Paris for the Olympics with one of my really good friends. One day just we sat down at this little cafe, and these two older gentlemen were sitting next to us. They turned around, and we just engaged in conversation, and they were super lovely. But I remember they kept on saying, just be nice. Like, say please and thank you. Just, I remember thinking, well, yeah, common sense. I mean, that's just being a good human saying please and thank you. But they just kept on saying, if, French people will be nice, but it's you have to do this. You have to say please. You have to say thank you. And I remember being like, well, duh. But then later on, I was talking to my friend, and I said, okay, they're probably telling us this because they have experienced so many Americans who don't do that. I'm sure they get that a lot. Like the ugly American of like, hey, where's this? Speak English, blah, 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 which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
infuriating, but
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember many of our classes. I can remember one thing that we did where we had to organize our values and like what was our top value. I remember that.
don't
And
remember
then I
that.
remember we had a speaker come in and talk to us about human trafficking,
Oh
human
my
trafficking because
God.
it was so bad in
Do
Greece
you
and
remember
stuff.
that? Yeah.
That horrifying, or like that was so eye-opening. But those are kind of honestly maybe the two things that I really remember. But I feel like that kind of seeped in my brain too.
The one thing I also remember from the classes were that there was also a component of, I think we did, not an, maybe it was an Enneagram test or like what your, oh, we did like a strengths finder thing. And I remember
Oh, yeah, we did.
I felt like that was really valuable, and I've used it in interviews before, and I also have used it in my workflow in a way. And I think that I remember taking that away because I think I was going into my junior year, and I think at that point I was like trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life, and it was really helpful to have that information at that time. But I also liked how a lot of the curriculum was like not just about history. I mean, very important. History is very important, but like it was also about self-growth. Good stuff.
Well,
Using your resources.
yes, history is important, but I think typical study abroad programs, especially if you go with your school, it's international business or like an art history class, or maybe if whatever your major is, something specific to that. But I think for us, it was taking classes that you can gain knowledge from and right, like you said, kind of use maybe not in your everyday life, but take away certain things that aren't just like something else.
Yeah. I remember one strength that we learned about that a lot of people had was
You're I'm impressed that you're remembering all of this.
I
Like
think I
what's
only
that?
remember this part because I used it it like after. But I do remember there was one that was called Woo, and I felt like I remember I thought that was really funny at the time. I was like,
Yeah.
that's so funny, but it is used as a skill. And there were a lot of people in our program that had Woo, and it was like, this is hilarious. Um, yeah,
I'm a woo girl. I remember
you had
that too.
Woo
Woo.
girl.
Woo.
Woo.
And I was like, ew, that sounds so gross. But then, yeah, no, it worked out. But
Something else that I also remember being almost kind of sad about was all of the stray animals and then learning how the community leaves food out for them and they just like live outside.
Hmm.
And I remember just being like loving seeing all the cats and stuff, but just being like, oh, that's like just something very different. And obviously at that time in Greece, the economy was not doing amazing. But that was something I was also like eye-opening as an American.
so, Kath, though, after college, you were in Australia or something, right? For a year working?
So yes, I graduated and didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know where I wanted to live. So I au paired or like a live-in nanny for a family for like almost a year and a half, outside of Melbourne. I mean, it was a 10-minute train ride into the city and probably one of the greatest experiences of my life. I hate the cliche. Learned a lot about myself, but I did talk about like independence, like a confidence booster. The family and I still talk every so often. They were amazing. I did some solo travel while I was over there. I did some group travel. So yeah, it was awesome.
So
That's so
cool.
I think, our experience studying abroad and, traveling by yourself, as a young adult gave me confidence to be able to say, okay, yeah, I can go to Australia. I can go to Australia. I can do this. Which I don't know if I would have had that had I not had that opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because all three of us didn't know anyone, right? Like in the program, we all just
Right.
went and like put ourselves out there. And at the time, I was like, oh, I'll just like figure it out. But when we think about how old were we, like 19, 20, like
Yeah, 1920.
that's kind of crazy that we did that at like that age. And look at
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yeah. My dad, that was something he was like, I can't believe you're going to a country all by yourself, not knowing anyone. He kept saying that. And I was not even fazed by it. I was like, I'll meet someone, I'll make friends, but I can't imagine doing that now. I don't know if I'd have the same mentality or anything. So it is cool. And I do think the trip, all in all, through learning everything, like freaking bungee jumping, doing all these different things, definitely build up my confidence in ways that like I didn't realize at the time, but looking back, I can definitely say that it did. So, and then our San Diego, then you went to PT school, and that's how you went to New York?
Yes, that's why I moved here.
Look at
So I
you
got into a
go.
And
school
you've been
here.
in New York. You've been there a long time, right?
Yeah, since 2016. So right after we
Wow.
saw each other. And yeah, I probably am not going back to California.
Yeah.
Just I loved it in California, but it's just not for me at this
Yeah.
time. I like the East Coast and I like the people here. I think I fit in here a little bit more. And not even just like fitting in, but I just think I appreciate
It
the
just
type of
it suits you.
personalities. Yeah. And then of course now at this point I've been here for so long. I feel like more of my community is here. But I also like the seasons. Like I feel like there's a lot of culture
Yeah.
here versus obviously there's culture in San Francisco and that area too, but it's just different. Sometimes I'm kind of mad because it's obviously expensive here. And I'm like, why did I trap myself into now wanting to stay in Brooklyn?
And you're married now.
I am
Like
married.
crazy.
Very weird to say. But I still feel just I just still feel like me, you know? Yeah. It's good.
Love it.
Like, do y'all ever feel? I mean, okay, what? I'm 31. Beth, you're 32.
I'm 31.
Still 31. You're 31. Andre, you're 30.
30. Just turned 30 in April.
But do you ever feel like, oh, I'm still 16?
Yeah, all the
Like
time.
you were
Maybe
saying
not
how you were
16, but
like,
like
if
22 for sure. Yeah.
yes, like I think I'm always gonna feel like 25.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I paid my car insurance and I was thinking like, I'm not old enough to do this. Like I can't, like this is no. But you're like doing adult things and
It's
it's
weird. It
crazy.
feels weird. And well, even when we were planning the wedding and I had almost a panic attack trying on wedding dresses because I was like, I just feel like I'm playing dress up. Like I feel like I
Yeah.
don't belong in a wedding dress. Like, and obviously I got through that and it was a very therapeutic experience doing that, honestly. But I was like, I don't feel old enough to be at doing this type of thing.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah,
feeling
you're
I'll
like,
feel like a child bride. Or like,
I
yeah,
felt like a child bride.
so many of my friends have gotten married. Like, there are a lot of points where I'm like, that could be me, but I just don't. I don't know. Like, my cousin's pregnant. She's a year older than me. And I'm like, oh my God, that seems decades away. Like, I'm not
right.
old enough to care for a living being.
Sometimes when
No,
I find out people are pregnant, I'm like, is it like on purpose?
Are
no, I
we
think that
going
too.
to Planned
Or and
Parenthood?
I'm
Like,
like, yes, I'm like, oh my gosh, teen mom, and I'm like, oh wait, no, they're 32
Yes,
years old.
teen mom.
it's always like at first, are we excited or like
Yeah,
what? Like, what's the
Right.
vibe?
which is also very valid still though, because some people it maybe isn't what they wanted or
Yeah, that's
expected at
true.
the time. But we went to a gender reveal for our friends who had a kid. I was like, I can't believe these people are having a baby on purpose. Like, what's like we're the same age and you're choosing this? Like, and it's weird. I also feel like being in a city, the average age here to have a baby is like 35. Well, obviously in other places that's not the case. And like you don't have to have a kid and still like obviously have a very full life and I just feel like maybe people that live in the suburbs respectfully like you're kind of like run out of things to do or like that's just like the natural inclination because you're living a slower paced life, which is also cool. But yeah, I also just feel like I'm when I think about having a
Yeah.
baby and I'm not pregnant, they're saying that. Like if I think about it, I'm like I share a dog. Like I can't even like I don't want to take care of another human. It also just seems like so much work. I like sleeping or
Yes,
like
love
and
sleeping.
I know it's like worth it, but it also just seems everyone I know that's a parent or is like always like it's so hard and I'm like so then that's a trade-off.
You were saying how in the city it's more of the norm to, I hate the phrase be older, but Nashville, I mean, it's what I would consider it's a bigger city, but sometimes I feel behind on everything. Like I'm not married, like single, not married, and don't have kids yet. But like that's just the thing about the South. It's everything is younger. And then I talk to my friends who live in New York or other places, and they're like, oh no, Catherine, like you would be child bride teen mom if you were doing all of this where we live. So sometimes I have to remind myself of that because when you're surrounded, and that's the thing. I'm glad I do not have a child right now. Like, and not saying that it's just not for me, and I don't think I would have done all the things that I have done if I would have gotten married and had children younger. But I have to remind myself of that. Of okay, no, like you're not behind.
Yeah.
Like whatever the norm is around you, if you are not doing the norm, sometimes you
It's
you have
hard.
to remind
Yeah.
yourself that yeah, it can be hard.
And that's like it's like also subliminal messaging. It's like this is what a conventional life should look like and we're like fed that constantly. And
Totally.
I don't know, do you guys watch Bravo?
Yeah.
Do you
Yes,
do you watch Summer House?
No.
I haven't.
I'm a
I
giggler though, so I know like
you know what's going on. I just
enough.
the reason I love Summer House is many reasons, but I feel like it's one of the only shows that I see that the girls are reflective of that non-convention. I don't even know if this is a word, like non-conventionality. One of them is married and she's like doing stuff for myself and I love my life right now and like I don't want to have kids because you're not ready to have kids. Like you need to also contribute equally. And Paige DeSorbo, she is like, I'm choosing myself, like this is my dream. And I just like what's portrayed on there because I feel like it's so opposite of what we're always fed of like, oh, you need to do this and be married and have kids. And I just like don't like subscribing to that type of narrative because it's just not real. Like it can be real for
No.
some people, but it's not real for everyone, and it shouldn't be because everyone is different.
And I hope that that narrative will start to become the norm of to achieve happiness doesn't mean that you have to be married and have kids and own a house and live in the suburbs, the whole white picket fence with a golden retriever by the time you're this age.
Yeah.
Or, if that doesn't look like happiness for you at all, then don't do it. So I hope that starts becoming like whatever brings you joy and happiness and a fulfilled life, like you do that for you versus what society says is like success.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen, yeah, because Kath, I'm the same way. At times I'm like, oh, I see my friends, they don't live in Chicago, but like, oh, my friends are married, they bought a house, they're trying to have kids, they have a dog. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, should that be me? And I don't feel ready for any of that, or I just haven't found that, like, what clicks for me. So I'm glad I haven't forced that life for myself because oh my God, I can't imagine the regrets or like resentment that I would have. And I think we're seeing so many more examples too of women now being like, okay, I did that. I got into that when I was 25, but now people are getting divorced and they're like, holy shit, I was not happy. Like I was doing that for society, doing it for my family, like doing it not for me. And at the time, maybe it was good for a lot of reasons, but now, like, I found out that it was just like, I don't know, I've
Yeah.
grown, so I love those.
Yeah. Or, like social media too. I will say I think people do a better job. I shouldn't say better, but are being more vulnerable. You still only put what is your best foot forward or like what looks good, the highlight, and so we see something, we're like, oh my gosh, look at that person, blah, blah, blah. But, who knows what is actually happening, behind the scenes.
So true.
Yeah, I do think of that sometimes when I see, so my Instagram got hacked like 4 years ago, but so sometimes I still do go on Facebook, and I know that's the cringiest millennial thing
I
I've
go
ever
on
said,
Facebook.
but oh my gosh, but seeing some of the like people from our study
Dude,
abroad
I
group,
love
like to be
Facebook.
so some of the things I'm like, oh my God, like they seemingly have this perfect life or whatever, but then I remember talking to them or I remember some things that they said and I'm like, okay, this is for sure just a show or, whatever, but
People have
I
like 4
definitely,
kids,
yeah,
and I'm like, good luck.
literally,
Yeah,
literally.
I'm
It's a no for
enjoying my
me.
Sunday. Yeah, Randy Jackson, it's a no for me, dog. Um,
Didn't we say that for another reason? Like Randy Jackson? Wasn't that something? There was something about Randy Jackson. I can't remember why we had it. It's an inside joke. Why?
Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson.
A deep cut. Clay Aiken and
Like
Randy
who?
Jackson.
Like
American
who
Idol.
else? What? I would say American Idol. What other podcast is simultaneously talking about Randy Jackson and Clay Aiken right now? Like no one.
No, not no one.
One-stop shop, it's all right here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think I followed still pretty much everyone. But yeah, it's just interesting to see what people are doing, what they've done. Yeah, like kids.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember? It was always when we were on the bus, you'd have to get up and kind of tell your story.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, obviously the simple stuff like, hey, my name's Catherine, at the time, 20 years old, going to the University of Tennessee, and different things. But then I think okay, not made you, but we had to talk about, I guess, like something vulnerable, or like some tragedy, a hardship in your life.
Yeah, I
Do you
remember
remember
that.
that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't remember what I said, but
I know, I'm trying to remember because let's be honest, I blocked myself off from a lot of shit that had happened. So now I could tell you what happened, but I think at the time I was like, nothing's ever happened to me. It's all been
Yeah,
fine.
you're
Like,
like, my life's great. But I think it's probably one of those things where you're like, okay, I don't want to overshare too much because I don't know these people, and then you're gonna blurt out like, oh, this event happened to me, or this and that. But there's that fine line of like, I don't want to trauma dump like too fast on all these 19-year-olds.
It was nice to hear some of those though. Really was a nice like activity to get us through the bus rides.
I think that's why we became so close, us three, but other members of the group too. I think it deepened all of our relationships. And let's be honest, that's when Instagram was like early days. So I think it gave you that
Mm-hmm.
context, like the behind the scenes. Like, I post this, I look happy, I look fun, but I'm battling with this, or this has happened to me. I think it just made us more 3D in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yoga retreat.
Oh my God, yeah.
It was so fun. It's uh plug Big Cedar Lodge is where it's in Missouri, like kind of in like Lake of the Ozarks. And there was yoga and meditation, seminars on like gut health, seminars like women and like, hormones at different stages of your life. Like the food was really good, like the scenery was beautiful. Yeah, it was like just very peaceful.
That's so cool. Things that you can do when you're single and 30.
You're so right. Yeah.
Love it. Wait, Kath, what do you do? What's your job? And Beth, what do you do too? I don't know what you guys do.
I work for, the store Anthropology.
Oh, yeah.
So I work corporate for them. So I'm in charge of merchandising and display for like the Southeast region. So Tennessee, the Carolinas, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, like a little bit of Florida, Arkansas, Louisiana. Yeah,
So cool. I was literally in the
which
store
is fun.
yesterday. There's one on my street. I go all the time.
Damn, do you get like an amazing
It's
discount?
good. I do. Well, you can get so many items a month, but you can get 60% off, and everything's put into categories. And then like home, accessories, that stuff, I get 40% off. Also, Newly. Have you all heard of Newly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do Newly, which is great, and I get a discount on the subscription. It's an Anthropology owned, the parent company owns Newly.
So do you do merchandising for Newly too?
No, it's just a clothing subscription. So no, but it's like URBN is the parent company, and they own Anthropology, Urban Outfitters, Free People, but I just work for Anthro.
Um, so as you know, I went to physical therapy school, and so I was a physical therapist. I mean, I still am technically, like I'm still licensed, and for a few years, and then I was working in clinic in person in New York at like an outpatient clinic, and my specialties were pelvic health and regular general orthopedic. And then I got burnt out, and I also just was feeling really disheartened by just the whole healthcare system. And I felt more strongly in that I wanted to do something that was gonna help access to care. Because if I were
Yeah.
to leave like an in-network setting, and so now what I do is I actually work at a digital health company that sells digital physical therapy as a benefit or like a point solution. So with your employer, you might have different point solutions. So that's what we do. We sell to health plans and also labor unions and like the state. So a lot of people through their
Oh,
state
that's awesome.
insurance have access to this,
Have
and
access.
it's all, yeah, and it's all subsidized by like the health plan or employer. And so now what I do is I do a lot of product development for the company. And so it's cool because I still can use my clinical knowledge, but I also feel more
Yeah.
fulfilled because I'm doing new things and like learning different skills. And I do feel like I'm helping the access piece more. And it's also nicer, just like I work remotely and I have like flexible hours and I'm not like killing myself every day working in person. And
Yeah, you
so,
have you have a work-life balance.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now, and I like it a lot. I feel challenged, and I still feel fulfilled, which is good.
That's good.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Audrey, what do you do these
Yeah,
days?
Andre, what's up with
Um,
you?
Work from home, work remote. And I work for a company who we do hiring for clinical trials. So we work with different pharmaceutical sponsors, and let's say they need 20 people to start working by a certain date in certain areas, or just need to kind of plug and play different people because someone left or whatever. So I help with the hiring process, but I'm a program manager. So then once we hire people on, I have 30 to direct reports, but I check in on them, making sure that their performance is good, that they're liking it still, and it's, working out for everyone. So I kind of like am a glorified HR person in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's
Okay.
what I do.
Very cool.
Yeah. Every episode, I ask that everyone talks about their dream world. So, like, if you had a magic wand and you could just kind of make the world whatever, what's your guys' world like? What would it be?
This is going to sound cheesy, like Miss Congeniality, world peace, but I just think the way things are going, and not even world peace. I mean, I'm going to take a step back and just say peace within our country. I just think the way things are going, it's very disheartening. But I read an article once about how, talking specifically about America, and how we have become so individualized that it's hard to have empathy for other people because people have become so disconnected. And if you're not experiencing something, it like doesn't exist. And ideal world, if people could just be more understanding towards another person's situation, I would hope that people could just be more loving and compassionate. And yeah, my world would be love.
Yeah.
And everyone, not feel like everyone could love each other. We don't have to like dive deep into politics, but pre this current administration, I sadly live in a very red area, but which is hard. I think you could talk about things and agree to disagree, or it's like, hey, let's talk about things. I want you to educate me on why you think this way. I'm going to educate you on why I think this way. Maybe, we can help each other out. But now there's like none of that. I hope that we can get back to that, where we can talk about things and just like, yeah, educate people and have a civil conversation. So my ideal world would, yeah, just be like, just like for people to like love each other more, because I think we've gotten away from that.
Yeah, I agree with
And
that. Like,
love people who are different than you.
yeah,
Yeah.
having a bit of like compassion. And I agree. And like
Mm-hmm.
riffing off of that, I think a lot of the like individualization and a lot of that can stem too from just people struggling. So in my
Yeah.
ideal world, I would, and just, I mean, yeah, like world peace, but also just our country, I would love that the government could like support people. And that's like not just like social services, but it's like in everything, helping
In
with
all aspects.
healthcare
Yeah.
or like getting paid a living wage. Because I think a lot of what you're talking about, Kathy, is like, and this is from me going on TikTok and trying to understand. And a lot of it is like being able to care about other people is a privilege. And why am I trying to care about transgender people when I can barely afford to put food on the table? And
Yeah.
I I mean I don't agree with it, but I understand why. Like I understand. And so yeah, my I think my perfect world would be like people are paid a living wage and they can like afford to live and have kids and take care of their family and not feel like they're struggling all the time. And I think that a lot of that would help with what we're talking about.
And I
Yeah.
think, and kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying too, of people are just, yes, trying to get to the next meal or the next thing. But I think in an ideal world, like education,
Yeah.
because educating people is a huge part of it. You hear someone say something and you're like, no, like what you were saying is actually not helping you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's so much false information out there
Yes.
and like
yeah,
propaganda.
Or you're just following some Instagram follower who you think is cool or
yes,
has a cool life, and then their opinion then takes over your personality because you want to be like them. And it's
Yeah.
like, you don't know what that
right.
girl or
And that's the
person
thing.
is
And
doing behind the
people,
scenes.
right. And, but then it's your job to go in whatever you read or watch a video about, do your research and fact check.
Yeah.
But people just don't do that. Like you take you watch something and then you take it at face value.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
I feel like in all of these episodes, these are things that like everyone wants. Everyone just wants people at the end of the day to be happy and have what they need. Like, I think that's the biggest theme that I've seen over these last few episodes is people want like therapy for everyone. They want to have that help, that support. They want to make sure that people are have what they need to not just get by, but to thrive. And then like genuinely everyone wants people to be happy. I don't think anyone wants certain groups be held back from certain opportunities or anything like that. Like everyone just wants everyone to have a life that like you dreamed of, that you want, that you're not suffering of for to have. And it's like so sad that that is
Mm-hmm.
such a dream state for us right now because it really just seems so far from reality for like a lot of people. But we don't live in a dream world, so maybe to help ease us back, do you guys have a small win that you've recently had? It could be like cleaning a closet, getting an errand done that you've been pushing off for a while, trying something new.
I feel like I've been trying to separate my work self from my personal self. In my 20s, I tied my identity to my career for a long time, and I was like, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I do love my career. I wouldn't have changed anything, but I also, now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, this is not healthy, and I need to do things for myself that are not work related and like enjoyable. So I've been trying to make conscious efforts of I signed up for a flower making class the other day, or like floral arrangement class, and I went by
Oh,
myself, and
fun.
that was really fun. And now every weekend I get flowers and practice my skills, and I'll do a pottery, like a wheel throwing pot class. I've never done that before, so I'm trying to do more of that type of stuff for myself and reconnect with things that I haven't done before, but that I also think I would enjoy.
That's huge.
I love
Getting
that.
outside of like your day to day. And yeah, I've heard a lot of great things recently about just doing something with your hands, getting your mind off something, just being present in the moment, how good it is for your mental health. And I love that you're, Beth, like expanding your horizons and trying to do new things that you think could be interesting. Because I think as adults, we don't do that super often. We're nervous to try new things and like be bad at something because let's be honest, we're not bad at a lot that we do in our day to days because you did a lot of that when you were
Been
younger and you don't have to do it
doing it.
now.
Yeah.
So I love that you're pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone in some ways and trying new things. So yay, go you. Kath, what about you?
Okay, well, cleaning out my closet is one. I did a major overhaul, so that just like energetically, mentally, that felt great. Not to like copy what Beth said, but yeah, since I've turned 30, I was experiencing like work related anxiety that I had never experienced before, and that would carry over into the weekend and just things that that did not give me anxiety before. I was getting anxiety about, and that really bothered me because I'm like, where is this coming from? So probably like in the last year, it's a process. But yes, just trying to disconnect and going to therapy and like getting my levels checked with different hormones, and going to like the sauna, which I love, and doing float tank. And yes, and doing new things too. I've started line dancing,
Shut
is
up.
is kind of crazy. And I love this because this specific line dancing class that I go to, they don't just do country music because spoiler, even though I live in Nashville, country music is not my thing. But they'll do like Chapel Roan and line dancing to just like, so that has been really fun. And like meeting new friends. You said you're kind of set in your ways, but yeah, just like meeting new people and doing new things and trying new restaurants or, you know, going on more walks. I'm doing more walks, which is good.
Me too.
So,
It's so nice.
anyway, yeah, the past year, I've taken back my health, working out on a regular basis, you know, but being more, but being more thoughtful. Which also that too, how you eat into your gut, into your brain, and all that stuff. I feel better than like I have in a really long time.
That's
Things
good.
are good.
Amazing.
It's the best when you do those things for yourself too. Like you're just doing it because you want to feel good. You're not worried. Well, for me, I really try to focus on when I am in those spaces, not focusing or putting so much value on the end product, but it's like, oh no, I'm feeling good while I'm in the sauna, while I'm doing these yoga classes, while I'm eating healthier. And it sounds like, Kath, this is what you're doing. You're putting so much value in how you're feeling now, and that's what's motivating you. It's not like, I don't know, you want to get validation from someone or a certain group. It's
Yeah,
you're literally doing it just because like it's what's making you feel good, and you want to take that into your own kind of for your own self. Oh,
yeah,
love that.
I
That's
know
huge.
exactly.
Yay. Well, look at you guys go. I'm doing a few
Okay,
more yoga classes. I'm like getting back in the groove of that. I got out of it because I was traveling for like 4 weeks in a row. Now I'm back in the swing of it and it feels good. So
we love that.
Yeah.
love that. But thanks for taking time out of your day to like spend with me and
No,
catch
this
up.
is
This was
so
so
nice.
great.
I love
I
this.
know this is so fun.
And I
No,
can't
Audrey,
wait.
like this podcast
Yeah.
is great. Can't wait for November. Yes, listeners, let us know where we need
Where
to
should we
go.
go?
Literally need help.
Drop your rec.
Yay.
This is so
Oh,
fun.
Yes, thank you for inviting us.
And that's what it looks like when three girls who haven't seen each other in a decade come together and just catch up and hear what's going on in life. It was so fun. It was a little reunion that is making my heart so happy, and I had the best time just catching up with them. Seriously, Greece, for a lot of reasons, as you can hear, was so impactful and just really expanding and growing into yourself and gaining some different experiences, which were huge. And honestly, I think maybe 19-year-old Audrey chose that because it wasn't so class heavy or anything, but I'm so lucky and grateful that that's a program that I found, because so many life skills and life lessons were packed into that trip and into those 6 weeks. And I met some really great people along the way. I mean, of course, Kath and Beth I still talk to, but there were some really great other girls on that trip who, if they were to text me, I'd be freaking out. It'd be so cool. And it would be a lot of fun. So I hope everyone gets to have those trips and those experiences in their lifetime, because it's so valuable for so many reasons. But oh my God, Beth and Kath, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I know this was kind of part one. We have our trip in November scheduled, but it was so great just to see you guys and catch up and learn more about your day-to-day lives right now and what's really happening, what your current reality is. And I love that we are all aligned on what some dream worlds look like. You guys are great, and thank you so much for coming on and spending your time catching up and chatting with me. I'll be back next Tuesday for more, but if you miss me in the in-between, I mean, I certainly understand. So check out social media. I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Audrey's World, where you can check out behind-the-scene clips, podcast clips from this episode, and learn a little bit more about me. You can also like, rate, review, subscribe, add some stars, comment to wherever you listen to the podcast, and that just helps spread the word a little bit. So thanks for tuning in once again. Love ya. Bye.